I'm delighted to be joined by the screenwriter behind that, brilliant series, Russell T Davies. You're probably bored, Russell, with people telling you how much they enjoyed it, but I too enjoyed it.
Never bored of that, don't worry.
But were you surprised? It's had a huge impact, sort of culturally. We've just seen people who actually ordered HIV tests. I mean, were you surprised by how much impact it's had?
Very much surprised, slightly embarrassed as well, because I know that I get to write a series, then I get to come on your show and talk about it. And there are people, where those tests come from, they come from the charities who've been doing brilliant work for 40 years, unsung, underfunded, and they are the ones who've pushed for this to happen. So I feel like if I can be a spokesperson on their behalf, but I also feel like a bit of a fraud, I must say. But they do the hard work. They really do.
And tell me, has this been an ambition of yours to write for a while? What was the motivation behind it?
Kind of. I think it's been rising up in my work for a very long time. Actually, I was 18 in 1981, the same as these characters in It's a Sin, and so I lived through it. So I've been thinking about it. I'm always writing a script in my head. I can remember the first time I ever mentioned it in a meeting that was at Granada Television in 1995. So it just takes time sometimes for things to build up, and for me to be able to write it. I think I needed to conquer the virus in my own head and own it instead of being scared of it. It's a monolithic, frightening thing with stigma and fear and ignorance attached, and I had to overcome that without even being infected. I'm the lucky one. So nonetheless, its cultural weight is massive, and it took me years to come to terms with that, I think.
So I want to pick up on lots of what you've just said in just a minute. Please stay with us, and you at home, please stay, because so much to talk about with Russell T Davies, Steve and Naz. We'll be back in just a minute or two. Welcome back. Russell T Davies, the creator of It's a Sin, is still with me. Russell, one of the most striking things about the show, and actually, I'm same generation of you, and was in very much the London that you show in your series. And I remember at the time feeling deeply depressed by quite a lot of the AIDS denialism, particularly in the gay community. And one of the things that sort of feels paradoxical is here you had young people who would have thought that they were sort of breaking the mould and were radicals, but they were in denial about this awful disease. Interestingly, quite a lot of the COVID denialism that we see is very much among sort of older people. Again, it's a libertarian streak, but much more on the right, I would say. Are you struck by that paradox?
It's strange, isn't it? I mean, they are different viruses. It's all too easy to think viruses are the same. I mean, COVID denialism is stupid. It's just stupid. In the 1980s, HIV denialism had an awful sense behind it. We were told that there was a gay plague that was killing gay people and for gay sex. So, and as we know, it's much more complicated than that. And so that sounded so incredible. It has to be said. I also got to say the greatest the AIDS and HIV denialism was amongst the straight community, led by many broadsheet newspapers, not just the tabloids, but the broadsheets as well. That was a campaign. If we were in doubt, we had natural doubts when we were being told that HIV wasn't real, that it didn't cause AIDS on a massive scale. And it was, as a community, we got together and crafted the rules of safe sex ourselves. And with the medics, with the science, but it was a community turning around and reacting marvellously. It just took time. That's all. It just took time.
Do you think there's been, in a sense, a hangover, a legacy of the undermining within the gay community of trust in what you might call the establishment?
Oh, I think that's absolutely right. I think we should always distrust the establishment, no matter which one it is. But yes, look, right now, we have a Home Secretary, Priti Patel, who voted against gay marriage, against same-sex marriage. She is in charge of the laws of the land. So is it any wonder that we don't trust it? Is it Section 28 was only got rid of in 2003, and its thinking still lives on. So yeah, I think that distrust is healthy, actually, very healthy.
And now, as I say, I was, a Londoner back then. I've got lots of gay women friends from that era, and I suppose, and I think some of them may have said this to you directly, as it were. One of the things they felt slightly sad about, they loved the show, but one of the things they felt slightly sad about is, they felt they played really quite an important role in the crisis when, conventional nurses weren't nursing gay men with AIDS. They stepped up and they nursed them. They gave an enormous amount of blood early in the crisis. And I think they felt a bit sad that in a sense, their role wasn't covered in your series.
Yes, point taken, absolutely. I tell you who's not covered in the series is straight men who were equally allies, who were equally marvellous and did brilliant things. I couldn't cover everything. It's kind of interesting. There are 3 strong characters. I kind of think there's been a bit of kind of Islamic erasure going on here. A very powerful female Islamic lawyer walks in and frees one of the characters, and that's a queer character played by an actress, Sayan Sarvan, who's very happy to be queer out loud and in public and has publicized herself online. So I'm kind of a bit sad that strangely she's seen for what she's wearing and for her religion and not for her sexuality. Nonetheless, absolutely, there could have been more. And if I had 100 episodes, I swear I would have done better. But nonetheless, it is there, it is present.
Now, in the series, you cast gay actors in all the gay roles, but I'm slightly unclear. Do you now generally have a view that with gay roles they should only be taken by gay actors?
I think it's possible now. That's the great thing. It's only me saying this on my shows, and believe you me, there's 100 shows down the corridor for you paying no attention to anything that I say. So nothing is about to change overnight. But actually, it's led me somewhere glorious. I talked about this before the show went on air, and strangely, a lot of straight commentators had a lot to say, which is amazing when they start to tell a gay person how to behave. I've never seen the like. That was astonishing. But actually, when the show went on air, I think people got what we meant, that there's a kind of visible fire about it. There's an energy. There's a queerness to it. There's a genuine queerness rising off the screen. I can see that. I make the shows, so it's my job to do that. And if I see it, I will stay doing that.
Well, it certainly had electricity, and if anybody hasn't watched it, I think it is still available online, and you've really got to watch it. And I think the big finale is this week, isn't it? I think.
That's right. Friday night, watch Keely Hawes in action. She is astonishing.
Anyway, congratulations, and thanks very much for joining us tonight.